Hello, my name is Dwayne Martin. Class of 2020. Oh no, class of 2017. Near fellow. We went to Namibia, South Africa, and London. And today we have a special guest, Olympian Lavonne Idlette.
Hi, I'm Lavonne Idlette, and I'm happy to be here with Nia Fellows.
Awesome. So I guess we'll kick it off with the first question that I had for you. So I saw that like you're an Olympian, you have your master's in business, and you also have your JD. And I think for a lot of the students watching this, there we find oftentimes that we don't have time, or we feel that we don't have time. Like we feel like we have to do so much in such a short span of time. How did you find time to pursue the things that you found purposeful in your life?
Ooh, pretty much, I feel like everybody makes time for exactly whatever they want to do committedly. So if you're just interested, you're just gonna say, I don't have time to do that. But if you're committed to it, you're gonna figure out how to do it. And so for me, I just looked at it like it was a part of my life. I had practice from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. every day. And then I went to class because at the time that I went to the Olympics, I was in law school. I went to class from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. And then I had to go get massages after that, wake up and do it all over again every day. When you just look at it as like a part of your life and you just go, every day you're kind of like adding to your bank and you feel like, wow, this is hard. But when you get to the other side, you're like, I mean, it wasn't that bad. It was what it was.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that speaks a large volume to like your style of leadership specifically, like this type of taking it one step at a time, like having this long term plan, but also intentionally realizing that there is a purpose in that moment. So how like what is that purpose for you?
So for me, I'm like just a goal driven person in general. So like once I say, all right, I wanted to go to the Olympics since I was a child. I happened to been an unaccompanied minor who was with Stevie Wonder when he did the opening ceremony in 1996. So I'm like, I want to go to the Olympics. Like that was the thing. So my purpose in terms of sports kind of just being like I was pretty athletic growing up and all that, but I I am a very disciplined person. Like once I decide that I'm doing something, I'm going to do the steps every single day. And so my real purpose, I think, is using sports and academics to show people like that you can do multiple things. Like you can literally do anything you want to do that you've decided to do, and kind of like help athletes see that side of themselves. Because I never really identified as an athlete. I was more like a nerd who happens to be faster than other people.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And you talked a lot about discipline and things of that sort. And with discipline, there's just a lot of struggle. You know, like there's this everyday having to find uh, find a reason to wake up and dedicate yourself to this thing and that.
Mhm.
So, like, what would you define as like your most difficult day? And how did you overcome that?
Um, my most difficult days, which I have them probably once a week, are when you're just like tired. Like you don't know why you're tired and you just don't feel like doing anything. But I would say the way that I get through anything has always been who I surround myself with. And so like I have always trained in great groups. I've always surrounded myself with like positive other business people because when I don't feel like it, they're going to be like, but I'm having a great day. So you should like get your life together. And so it motivates you to like get over yourself in that moment and get to the work because the bank deposit is still due.
Mm, exactly. Yeah. I think that's a large part of the NEAR project, as far as like bringing this cohort of people together, to understand like you're not alone in this, you know, and it takes a village, to
Hmm.
love your child, but also to continue to drive yourself and your purpose. So I really appreciate it like that a lot. So who would you say are those key people in your circle, and what is the process that led you to building that circle, to focus yourself within your leadership?
Ooh, I would say that along the journey that people change. They they serve different purposes in your life for that moment. My parents obviously have been really, really a supportive key piece to who I am, because although I tell them all the time, like, I could beat you in a race when I was like 8, and you couldn't help me with my homework after like the 6th grade, but they never gave me limiting thoughts. Like, if I said I wanted to do something, they'd just be like, okay, well, how are you going to do it? And like, let's make a plan and all that kind of stuff. And so their limitlessness in the way that they raised me kind of helped me learn to identify people who could help me along the way as well. Like, just give support in different little ways.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, just having people around you that are not individuals who limit your space, but individuals who are willing to see it through with you, and join with you. As far as what does that planning process look like for you? I know a lot of high school students and college students are planning a lot about what they're going to be doing in the next 4 or 8 years. So like, what did that journey of planning for goals look like for you?
Man, so the interesting thing about my high school to college journey was I always wanted to be a doctor. Don't ask why MD is not one of those. But basically, it taught me along the way that, like, I had spent so much time very, very, very focused on wanting to be a dermatologist since I was 5 years old, doing all of these summer programs and all that kind of stuff just to get to college and realize, like, I really don't want to touch people, and I really don't like it's kind of like I was going on the ideas of what success was to other people versus myself. And so what I would say in terms of planning is plan, but let it be a little bit fluid, so you can get to experience different things and not feel rigidly attached to something specific. Because I stayed a biology pre-med major for 2 semesters, knowing after the first semester, like, I'm definitely not doing this. And so I would just say, give yourself some grace. Like, go explore things. Go meet people who do the thing you think you want to do. Go visit the school you think you want to go to. All of that stuff really matters. I took all of my visits as an athlete. We take 5 visits to go and see colleges. I took 5. I didn't go to any of those 5 schools. But it was a great experience. It was like, okay, I can see that I don't see myself here. And those types of experiences help you along the way. Because in high school, I was really, really worried, like, oh, will I get into the school that I want to go to? Making sure that I was like, making sure I was taking the right classes and all of that kind of stuff. Just so you generally know, all right, you'll be able to get into most schools with these classes, with these grades, with this test score. And then just giving yourself some grace after that. Like, okay, you've done the work. Let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I felt that very strongly. Like, giving yourself grace, because when you're especially in high school, especially now, like, you just feel that you have to have so much planned out, and that you have to get every single one of those steps done and completed. But I think you're like, when you describe like this balance between planning but also allowing faith and like purpose to be that, and for yourself to try to understand what you want and being able to change like what you thought you want to do your entire life in just 2 semesters. So it's just like we really, really think that we have it all figured out, but we just have to let it figure itself out.
The other thing is to listen to other people's wisdom about you. So the reason I have an MBA JD right now is only because I had an undergrad professor of business law who taught the class Socratic method, which is the way they teach it in law school, say, you should go to law school. And at this time, I literally had no plans of doing a day after undergrad in school, like not a day. And he's like, you should definitely go to law school. I didn't even have to like curb your score. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. But he's like, you have the brain for law school. And I'm like, okay. And I kind of just, threw it in the back of my head. Had another professor tell me I should go get an MBA. And so the teacher that was the law professor, the law class teacher, he had an MBA JD. He's like, this is how you get into this type of a program. These are the 2 tests you need to take. And literally him seeing that in me is what put me on that path. Nothing else would have ever even sparked that idea to me. And I loved law school. It was fun.
I'm hoping it's going to be fun for me as well. 'Cause I wanna go as well. But no, I think that's super important. Finding those people, and like and back to your earlier point, just like people in your life serving different purposes, and those individuals serving that specific purpose, and like listening to people outside, because while you as within yourself, you can only see so much.
Hmm.
It oftentimes takes that village to really humble yourself and look around you and see, okay, what are these people saying? And is there some truth to that? And stepping into that very intentfully. I think the perfect follow-up question to that is, like, who would you say is a leader that you look up to?
Ooh. Um, so there is a couple. I'm like a very much Warren Buffett fan. So like bought the stock just so I could go to his annual meeting. Um, but one of the things that he says that's really important to the way that I do business is to stay within your circle of competence. People will throw out new, exciting things to you every single day. And you might want to, you're like, oh, this is a home run. I'm going to go for that hit. And all you're going to do is strike out because it's not in your circle of competence. It's going to just distract you from the things that you already do well, trying to follow the glimmer and the glitz of whatever. And so I follow that very much in terms of like staying focused and like keeping my team focused. Like, although, okay, everything sounds great, new things, great. No, we're very focused. Like, how do we grow in the space that we're already in, and take up more space there?
Yeah, I think that's super important, because there's so many visceral things around you that try to shift your focus on the main goal. But it is super important too, and I think I'm going to take that with me definitely. Just being your circle of confidence, really focusing and ensuring that despite all of the chaos going around, you have yourself focused on what you plan on pursuing and with the people that you plan on pursuing with. So I think what is that thing that you want to pursue? What is that impact that you want to have on the world?
So I am very focused on community development through economics. So my core business is real estate and real estate investing. So I invest in communities that I care about through both building affordable housing, renovating affordable housing, and bringing retailers to areas that are underserved. And I teach professional athletes how to do that in communities they care about as well. So for me, my purpose is very much making that impact where like people are like disregarded in those communities, bringing resources, access to capital, and care to those communities for the housing and for the families that live there.
Yeah, and I think that's super important work. Just like communal care overall, and like the different aspects of that come. And oftentimes there isn't a focus on like the house, especially in Miami, like this housing crisis and like the thing of houselessness and things of that sort. And the juxtaposition between like downtown and overtown and things of that sort. So I think it's super important to dive into that work and really make an impact in people's lives, like directly in that way. So thinking of impact and thinking of care, the NIA project is focused on like three main goals of empathy, integrity, and intentionality. Which one of those speaks most volumes to you, and why?
Integrity for sure, because I feel like you can make money doing pretty much anything, right? So when you do things intentionally and with empathy and with integrity, you can maximize both what you do impactfully on the community, but also still really do good business. So like integrity for me is the most important thing. Like I don't do business with shady people, period. Like I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what you could bring to the table. No, thank you. I think that, operating in a system where other people are involved, you have to have an ethical, like, this is where I cut it off. Like, I will not poison the lake so that we can make more money. Like, come on, guys.
No, that makes total sense. And I think it's really important to ensure that, and I think especially for younger people, like coming from things of that sort, like you try to balance this thing of caring for your community, but also caring for your people and caring for your life, and trying to balance like the need to survive and have like economic freedom with trying to also pursue this life of care, bringing and giving back. And I think your point of like those two things are not mutually exclusive. Super powerful, and I hope that also, if I was watching this, carry that with them. What are some other traits or values that you think that fellows or finalists should carry with them as well?
So of course, my number one word is always discipline, because at the end of the day, almost everything we do in this life is a commodity. Other people can do it. But how you do things is what separates you from others. So when you're more disciplined than others, people notice, and you'll get more opportunities. And with more opportunities, everything comes. You never know. It's just about showing up every day.
Yeah, and I think that plays a key role into this idea of purpose, and also that balance between like grace and planning. You know, like just continue doing what you're doing and be consistent. The things that are meant for you will come to you. And I think that's a perfect segue to just to leave off on that and jump into the rapid fire question. So the first question I have are, what's your favorite place in the world? If you can go to any place right now, where would you go?
Ooh, okay. So my favorite place in the world is Marrakesh, Morocco. But if I go any place in the world right now, I would go to Tokyo.
Tokyo?
Yeah.
Awesome. What's your favorite social media platform?
Both. Instagram.
Oh, okay. Personally and business-wise?
LinkedIn.
Okay.
For business.
What is the current book or podcast that you're listening to or reading?
Ooh, book. Who Not How. Which has been very profound on my life, because, we're always trying to figure out how to do things. Nope. Find the person that knows how to do it and love it already. And podcast would be capitalism.com.
Awesome. And what's your theme song?
Ooh. Probably Diva by Beyonce.
Okay. Like one of my sisters. If you can have another career, what would it be?
Ooh, probably research scientist.
Okay. And last question: if you can time travel, what time period would you go in, and why? Actually, I want to switch this. If you can time travel back into any moment of your life, what time would you go back and why?
Ooh, I want to answer both. So I would go back to the 1920s because it was really fly. Although they didn't even use the bathroom inside for a period of time. Like, they dressed the way that the carrots, I loved it. And then in my life, I'd probably go back to like 10. When you just can go outside after you do your homework and have a great time and not have no worries whatsoever. Not even thinking about what college you need to go to. You're just like outside, and an ice cream truck is coming.
Yeah. I think those are two moments that we hope to go back to as soon as this pandemic is over.
Exactly.
But it has been great speaking with you. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope that the semifinalists and hope the prospective fellows really take a lot of what you carried and said here. Because I think a lot of them are not only valuable for just high school and college students, but just like true useful wisdom in life. I have this notepad in my phone where I just type down a bunch of useful advice that I've heard like throughout the day or throughout my life. And I think a lot of the things that you said are going to go on that notepad really soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Have a great day.
You too.